Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're tackling a stack of sources that, honestly, it reads less like a fantasy story and more like a celestial opera.
Oh, absolutely. A high-stakes political thriller, just, you know, draped in cosmic power.
Right. This deep dive is all about the involuntary ascent of two mortals, two people who find out they carry the blood of beings who, and I'm quoting here, breathe life into nothingness.
And that's the key. This isn't just about getting superpowers. It's about a secret war happening in the highest levels of the divine realm.
The central question of the narrative really feels like it boils down to this. What happens when two totally ordinary people are suddenly forced to confront the gods who govern their reality?
As those gods are tyrannical.
And the sources, they don't ease you in. From the very beginning, you get hit with the emotional core of it all. The tension, the desire, the heartbreak. This is a story that's all about what it costs.
So our focus today is to really synthesize the journey of the Morvaren twins, Thais and Thatcher. They start out as oyster farmers
Just simple oyster farmers.
on the edge of the world in a place called Alarin. And through a series of, well, frankly, horrific events, they get pulled into Vithoris, the divine realm.
To participate in the Easymar Trials of Ascension.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's set the stage a little. The world is ruled by these gods, the Easymar. They're all about order. But we find out pretty fast that their idea of order is, well, it's ruthless.
It's suppression, it's political maneuvering, it has nothing to do with benevolence.
And their main tool for control is these Trials of Ascension.
Which are presented to the public as this great honor,
Right.
right? The highest a mortal can achieve. But in reality, it's a brutal vetting process, a filter.
A filter for what, exactly?
It's simple. It serves one of two purposes. Either absorb the powerful new blood into the existing system or eliminate them before they can become a threat.
And the incredible irony is that the people being vetted, they're often the descendants of the gods themselves. They're carrying this divine blood without even knowing it, and now they have to fight for it.
Our mission today is to unpack that journey. We need to break down the tyrannical nature of this divine realm, expose the deep political rivalries between the gods.
And detail the secret resistance, the hidden war being waged by the very beings who are supposed to be enforcing cosmic law.
Yes. This is a story about divine regicide, and it's being planned by the gods' own children.
To really get the scale of their transformation, we have to start small. We have to start in Saltcrest.
Yeah, the sources do an incredible job of grounding you in their mundane life first. That contrast is everything.
And we're not talking about some quaint little fishing village.
No, not at all. The sources describe the permanent smell as the stench of low tide. So you've got rotting seaweed, briny muck, the smell of fish that's been out too long.
It's gritty.
It's very gritty. These are practical people, and their lives are defined by that labor, by the tides.
And the twins, Thais and Thatcher, they each have a totally different way of coping with it.
Thatcher is, he's the charming one. He's naturally gifted at the work. Shucking oysters is like breathing for him. And he has this easy social grace. The sources say he's always chasing the pretty ones. He's just magnetic.
Yeah.
Thais is the opposite. She is fiercely contained. She has this strict, unbreakable rhythm at work. She works harder than she needs to.
But outside of work.
She's reckless. She's wild. Tavern challenges, midnight trysts, all of it.
And it's because she has this sense that her simple life is doomed, that it's going to end.
Exactly. She uses these casual connections almost like a shield.
Yeah.
She knows that getting truly close to someone, being vulnerable, is just too dangerous for her.
They also have this twin bond. It's described as an invisible emotional connection, sometimes even mental. They've had it since birth.
They do, but the real weight of their family secret falls on Thais.
Because she's the one who actually has the power.
Yes. Thatcher is described as stubbornly, safely normal.
Oh.
He feels the weight of the secret, of course, but he doesn't carry the physical proof of it.
And Thais's power. I mean, it's incredible. The ability to hide constellations between her fingers, to make weapons out of starlight.
But to their father, Sulian, that power is a curse. It is living, breathing proof of tyranny.
Because it's proof of what happened to their mother.
Yeah.
That she was assaulted by the king of gods, Alanthar.
Exactly. So knowing she's his daughter is a source of pure horror, not pride. And ironically, the fact that Thatcher never manifested any power is what kept them trapped.
Trapped how?
They could never leave. They could never risk being discovered. So they were bound at this tiny village, Saltcrest, because Sulian desperately believed it was, and this is a quote, The closest thing to safety you'll ever have.
He's such a tragic figure. He spent their whole lives just trying to protect them from the consequences of Olanthar's violence.
And Thais swore an oath on her mother's memory. She would never, ever reveal herself. So there's this constant fear, this paranoia, especially around the annual solstice festival.
Which is when the gods usually look for new recruits.
Yes, but this time, the threat shows up early. The priests arrive 2 weeks ahead of schedule.
Which is a huge red flag. It means they're not just scouting, they're looking for someone specific.
And the moment of the announcement is just chilling. The whole village is gathered in a cave to get away from the tide, and the priest just says it, "A blessed walks among you tonight."
And the whole atmosphere just shatters.
Instantly, neighbors start looking at each other, suspicion, dread, it's awful.
The priest says the blessed can step forward, no questions asked. And Thais is just. She's paralyzed. She's caught between the promise to her father and the instinct to protect her brother.
But Sullian, he makes the choice for her.
In this moment of just absolute devastating parental love, he steps forward.
He takes the blame. He accepts death by fire right there in front of everyone, his entire community.
And the sources say he died smiling. He was convinced that by doing this, he had finally kept them safe.
And that is the most horrific part, the futility of it. The priest just dragged the twins away anyway.
So that's the catalyst, the blood on the sand, the smell of the fire. That's what fuels everything Thais does from that point on. Her rage is about making sure that her father's sacrifice wasn't completely meaningless.
It forges this unbreakable core inside of her. She doesn't enter the divine realm as a hopeful contestant. She enters it as an instrument of pure, focused vengeance.
The transition from the muck of Salt Crest to the divine realm is so sudden, it's jarring.
And she's not treated like a guest of honor. Not at all. She's captured. She's thrown in a cell.
And that's a key distinction, right?
Yeah.
She learns that the contestants who came willingly are being pampered as we speak. They're waiting for their audience with the gods.
But Thais arrives looking like a wild animal. Torn clothes, blood under her nails. She's marked as defiant from the second she gets there.
The divine realm is making its point. If you resist, it will cost you.
She does get a brief moment of, I guess, softness with the Dreamweavers. Lirelai, Novely, and Vesper. They're servants of Serena, the goddess of dreams.
Right, they're basically divine stylists. Their job is to prepare her for divine attention.
And they have this great line. They say she's quite striking beneath all this distress.
Yeah.
And they give her the first real outside perspective on the Izimar. The gods aren't afraid of the blessed. They're intrigued.
That's a huge piece of information. The gods see these powerful mortals as novelties, or maybe resources, not as threats.
Which is a strategic mistake they will come to regret.
Big time. And then we get to the proving, the first trial.
And the brutality is immediate. It's a fight to the death among all the blessed. It's designed to weed out the weak and just highlight who has actual strategic value.
Thais is horrified, but she realizes pretty quickly that she has to stop holding back. Survival means she has to go all in.
And this is where the power she spent her entire life suppressing for her father.
Yeah.
It just explodes out of her.
She creates a sword forged from pure starlight.
The description is amazing. The power tastes like starfire and eternity. It's exhilarating, but it also feels like it's going to tear her apart.
And in that moment, as she embraces her true nature, she has this condemning thought. This is what I was born for.
The ultimate tragic irony. The power she hates, the legacy of the father she despises, is the only thing that can keep her alive. She's being forced to become the very thing she promised Sullian she would never be.
But the proving has an even bigger shock in store. Thatcher's manifestation. He's dragged in, completely helpless, the Izimar just watching, basically expecting him to be killed.
And a legend, a powerful blessed named Drakor, goes to attack him. And suddenly, Thatcher unleashes this power. And it's nothing like Thais'.
No, Drakor just freezes mid-attack. His body starts to destabilize.
The description is pretty gruesome. His skin splits open and there's wood underneath. Branches burst out of his mouth. And within seconds, where this powerful fighter was standing, there's just a tree, a rapidly aging tree.
Wow.
And this ability, this power to just deconstruct living things, to dissolve their very essence, is immediately recognized. The legends watching give it a name.
They call it the God Killer.
And here's the crazy part. They're not scared of it. They are utterly and completely intrigued.
Why? Why wouldn't they be terrified of that?
Because they don't see it as a threat to them. They see it as a precision instrument, a weapon that they can control and harness for their own purposes. Their arrogance is their blind spot.
And that leads directly to the choosing. This is where the politics really kick in.
Right. Thatcher, with his incredibly dangerous, uncontrollable power, is chosen by Shavor, who is the son of Olenthar, the Lord of Light.
That makes a kind of cold strategic sense. Olenthar wants to get his hands on the biggest potential weapon on the board.
It does. But the politics get much, much messier with Thais. She gets chosen by Zul,
Warden of the Damned, and crucially, the son of Morthus, the Lord of Death.
Olenthar's greatest political rival.
And Thais figures it out immediately. Zul doesn't want her. He just wants to complicate matters for Syndralis, which is Olenthar's domain.
She knows she's a pawn, a political pawn, chosen specifically to deny Olenthar the advantage of her starlight abilities.
So she distrusts him from the very beginning. She knows she's just leverage.
But that shared cynicism, that mutual understanding that they are both just players in a game,
Yeah.
that's what creates the foundation for their eventual alliance. She decides right then and there, if the gods are playing games, she has to become the best player.
So Thais gets taken to Draknavor, Sul's domain. We should probably describe this place because the environment is so key to her training.
Oh, absolutely. It's called the Bone Spire. It has black sand beaches. The servants are these beings called Shadowkin.
It sounds bleak.
It's isolation, distilled. The sources call it a beautiful prison at the edge of the world. Sewell's a master of this harsh aesthetic, and he makes it clear from moment one that he has zero patience for her defiance.
And the training, it's not just physical, is it?
No, it's psychologically destructive. He
Right.
forces her on these brutal endurance runs, pushing her body past its limits, and then he makes her fight the souls of the damned sentient shadows.
So she has to keep manifesting her starlight weapons. She's basically being forced to turn her grief and pain into raw energy.
But the real test, the ultimate one, is when he forces a psychological break. Zul isn't training a warrior, he's training a killer.
And to do that,
He makes her kill an illusion of her father, Sulian.
oh, that's just agonized.
It is. He wants to drive her to unlock that lethal rage, to sever the mortal empathy that would stop her from doing what needs to be done later.
And it works. She transforms her grief into this focused, deadly weapon. The aftermath leaves her completely hollowed out, but she understands the terrible necessity of it.
She has this realization. Heroes die screaming. Only killers ascend. And Zul just says, now there's my killer. It's a chilling moment. It shows you that in this world, ascension means rejecting your own morality.
Meanwhile, Thatcher is in a totally different environment. He's in Balerium, the domain of war, with Olenthar's son, Shavor.
Right, and with Thatcher, it's not about raw power. His god-killer ability only manifested under threat. Olenthar is interested in precision, in control.
This is where Olenthar himself steps in with this manipulative moral test.
He gets it. He understands Thatcher is ethical, that he feels guilty about his power. So Olenthar offers him a solution. He says, why don't you practice your gift on this Shadowkin spy we've captured?
A spy who is already being tortured?
Yes, Olenthar tortures the spy with searing light, literally leaving a handprint burned on its chest, and he pressures Thatcher to deliver the killing blow. He frames it as an act of mercy.
To end the creature's suffering.
And Thatcher does it. He commits his first deliberate kill for the creature whose suffering had become unbearable.
That is classic Olenthar. It's not just crude cruelty, it's sophisticated manipulation. He forces Thatcher to compromise his own morals, but under the guise of compassion, and that makes him complicit.
For a moment, it works. Olenthar proves that Thatcher can be controlled.
But Thatcher, he's just consumed by guilt and rage. He vows to play Olenthar's game, but only so he can eventually turn that power against the king of gods himself.
So you see, the twins are separated, but they're both being forged into weapons, and they're both aimed at the same target.
Back in Draknavor, we start to see some cracks in Zeal's perfect, cold facade.
Yeah, the isolation of his realm, the intensity of Theis's training, it leads to these rare moments where he lets his guard down. He reveals he wasn't always a god. He ascended when he was 25. He remembers sailing from his mortal life.
And he says this really poignant thing that he was too powerful for one world, not powerful enough for the other.
Thais sees that. She sees this flicker of humanity that somehow survived the process of becoming a god.
And that flicker becomes a full-on flame when they visit the Eternal City. They go to see his surrogate grandmother, Nixus.
And it's just amazing. We learn he's a secret sweet tooth. that Nixis used to give him so much candy he'd get sick, and she still calls him her little prince.
Thais is a sharp observer, and this is huge for her. She realizes Yule isn't just a political machine. He's capable of deep vulnerability. He's a contradiction.
And that gives her the leverage she needs. She's already suspicious, and she overhears him admit he chose her only to rob Olenthar of an ally, so she confronts him.
She forces the issue, and he has to come clean.
He reveals everything. The secret war against Olenthar, and the biggest secret of all, that he knows Thais is Olenthar's daughter.
And Veal's reaction is incredible. He's not horrified. He's described as shocked, vengeful, almost drunk with the implications.
He immediately sees the strategic genius of it. His greatest rival's daughter is now his protege. They share the same enemy, and her lineage, her power, it makes her the perfect weapon.
This is the moment their alliance becomes real. It's not just convenience anymore.
No, it becomes a shared commitment to divine regicide.
Okay, so this alliance between Thais and Zeal, it really opens up the history of this universe. We get into the primordial conflict.
Right, and we have to understand this history because it dictates everything about the rebellion that Zeal and his father, Morthus, are planning.
So the current gods, the Isimar, who represent order, they weren't always in charge.
No, originally there were 4 pantheons. You had the Isimar for order, the Esprit for harmony, the Illustria for passion, and the Virhon for domination.
And these 4 groups, they actually united to overthrow the original rulers.
The primordials, Mornos and Vivros. Mornos was the primordial of fear and domination. Vivros was more about the original life force, potentially.
And when they overthrew them, it fractured reality itself.
It did. And in that chaos, the Isimar saw their chance. They betrayed the other 3 pantheons, leaving them either destroyed or, as the source says, adrift in the abyss.
The abyss being the sort of nothingness outside the realms.
Exactly. So the Isimar established themselves as the sole rulers, and they instituted this tyrannical version of order.
So the whole system is built on a foundation of betrayal and opportunism.
And that is what Morthus, the Lord of Death, is leading a resistance against. Their goal is radical. They want to end the Trials of Ascension completely.
Because they see them as just a tool of Olenthar's paranoia.
Precisely. So Morthus brokers a deal, a formal bargain. He agrees to protect Thatcher during the final trial, but only if Thais and Thatcher commit to delivering the final public killing blow to Olenthar.
It's a pact sealed in blood and political necessity.
The trials keep going, but now they're different. They're not just about survival. For Thais, they're strategic rehearsals for the real war.
The second trial is underwater, in the sunken city of Hydrathus.
It's pure psychological warfare. Thais has to endure these terrifying illusions. She sees the god of oceans, Thaler, deliberately drowning his own city.
So it's not just about surviving the environment, it's about resisting the terror of seeing a god destroy his own people.
And the trial itself reveals a huge secret about the Isimar. They find these keys, called whisper keys, that reveal the city was destroyed a century ago because the priests sold dangerous secrets to mortals.
So the gods of order are built on secrets and lies. Their entire regime is vulnerable from the inside.
It's a massive revelation, and it proves that the trials are getting more and more dangerous, just like Jules warned her they would.
Then we get to the third trial, the Celestial Banquet and the Labyrinth of Fire. This one feels particularly insidious.
It is. It starts with a drug drink that lowers everyone's inhibitions, makes them emotionally vulnerable right before they go into the labyrinth.
And the gods are basically testing their psychological breaking points.
And the labyrinth weaponizes those weaknesses. It uses each mortal's greatest desire against them. Thatcher is tempted by a phantom lover, an illusion of a peaceful life. Another contestant, Marks, is confronted by her dead love.
It's designed to lure them into self-destruction.
But in the middle of all this calculated chaos, you get this moment of pure mortal heroism. A contestant is paralyzed by an illusion, and the palace is collapsing around him, and another competitor, Chiron, sacrifices himself to save him.
He pulls the guy out of the rubble and then dies himself.
And it highlights this massive difference between the gods' cynicism and the unexpected purity of mortal sacrifice. The gods demand sacrifice for power. Mortals sometimes just offer it out of compassion.
But the shadow of fate is always there. Thais goes to see Heron the Seer, a blind fate weaver.
She's desperate. She wants to know if their plan will work, if they can kill Olenthar and both survive.
And Heron confirms that Olenthar was her father, which just solidifies her hatred. But then the prophecy delivers this devastating blow.
Heron says, "Your brother's line is cut short. beyond the final trial.
It completely compromises their entire plan. It means Thais will survive, but Thatcher won't.
And she realizes the price of her vengeance might be losing her brother completely. She'll be forced into a future she never wanted, alive and utterly alone.
Before we even get to the finale, the emotional stakes just go through the roof back in Draknivor.
The wedding?
Zul's political marriage to Nivora, it's necessary to secure Morthus's alliance and stabilize the resistance, but for Thais, it's heartbreaking.
She confronts him. She tries to push him away, trying to protect herself from more pain, but Zul, the ultimate political calculator, does something completely illogical.
He disrupts his own plans.
He does. He refuses to let political reality erase the bond they've built. He reveals how deep his feelings are, and then he performs a secret, incredibly dangerous divine binding ritual.
He swears his soul to her.
Yeah. The consequence is immediate and immense. If Thais dies during the final trial, Zul will be instantly pulled after her. He'll die too.
He's sacrificing his entire political future, everything he's built.
All for her. To give her security, to prove his commitment. He's still playing politics with his life, but he chooses a personal bond over cosmic stability. He says, I'm not trading Thais' life for chains.
And then, the final trial, the forging. It takes place in Sindralis, Olanthar's own domain, the most powerful place in Voldaris.
The 4 remaining contestants, Thais, Thatcher, Marks, and Vance, are standing on these huge pedestals.
The test is designed to burn away their mortality, to purify them into gods.
And Olanthar exposes them to the pure light of Sindralis. Thais describes the pain as agonizing, like the light is scorching the muscle from her bones.
But she survives by anchoring herself, not to light or hope or anything good.
No, she anchors herself to pure lethal hatred for Olanthar, and to the fragile memories of her family, of her father's sacrifice. She uses her pain as fuel.
And her power rises to meet Olanthar's, her violet starlight against his gold. She endures not to ascend, but to get her revenge.
And the second the trial ends, the real enemy finally shows his face.
Olanthar starts to speak, but something's wrong. His energy, his voice, it's all altered.
And it's revealed. The king of gods isn't Olanthar, it's Moros, the primordial of fear and domination. He's been possessing Olanthar's body for years, running the whole regime from the inside.
This is the critical moment. Moros tries to grab Thatcher. He's trying to absorb the latent primordial power, the Vivros energy that Thatcher carries.
And we also learn just how deep the conspiracy goes. Elysia, a goddess who always seems sweet and vain, is revealed to be Moros' servant. She tries to kill Thais.
All the failed assassination attempts throughout the trials. It was all Moros working through Olanthar's network.
Zul and Morthus are occupied with the chaos, but Thatcher does exactly what he promised he would.
He uses his god-killer power.
But not on the outside. He focuses it internally. He invades Olanthar's body from within, tearing the flesh apart, physically separating Olanthar's essence from Moros' control.
A targeted internal explosion.
And that separation gives Thais her opening. She delivers the killing blow to Olanthar. She gets her vengeance.
But the prophecy comes true instantly. Moros, as he escapes, grabs Thatcher and drags him into the abyss.
Thais fights. She tries to hold on to him, but the bond, the mental and emotional connection they've had their entire lives, it just severs. There's just silence where her twin used to be.
The cost of vengeance is the immediate loss of everything that mattered to her.
And then comes the final, profound irony. Morthus reveals that Olanthar's power, his domain, all of his responsibilities, they haven't vanished. They've flowed directly into Thais.
She is the new ruler of Sindralis, the ascended goddess of light and order.
She has become the very thing she set out to destroy. She inherited the throne of the father she just murdered.
The aftermath is messy. Yule has to honor his political duties. He prepares for his marriage to Nivora to stabilize the realm against the chaos Moros left behind.
Thais goes back to Solcrest one last time, just to acknowledge that her old life is gone forever. She accepts her new title, Goddess of Light and Order. But her hatred hasn't gone away. It's just focused.
Her mission has changed. Heron confirms Thatcher isn't dead. He's adrift in the abyss. But he can be recovered. There's a window of 7 seconds when the veil between realms thins again.
So Thais resolves to use all of her new, immense power, her father's domain, and Jules' political alliance, for one goal: to wage war on the divine structures themselves and get her brother back. The new goddess of light is now planning to destabilize the entire cosmos.
That is just a dizzying, brutal transformation. We've tracked the Morvaren twins from the briny muck of an oyster bed all the way to the most powerful and dangerous divine throne in their world.
Thais is now the ascended goddess of light and order, and she got there through murder, betrayal, and the sacrifice of the one person she loved most.
She is now the ruler of the very world she swore to destroy. It's the ultimate irony.
It is. But I think the real takeaway here, the aha moment for you, is not just about the raw power she gained, it's about the strategy that got her there.
She learned from the best. Or, I guess, the worst.
Right. The greatest weapon against divine tyranny wasn't just mortal power. It was acquiring their political structures. And even more importantly, their knowledge.
Zeus' whole philosophy.
Exactly. He had that great line, "My father collects souls, I collect secrets." Zeus's real genius wasn't his power over death. It was his ability to gather information. Knowing Thais was Olanthar's daughter, knowing the history of the primordials.
That knowledge was leverage. It allowed them to get close enough to strike. And when the dust settled, Thais hadn't just destroyed the system. She'd taken it over. She's in control of the central operating unit.
And she now commands the resources of the regime that killed her father and stole her brother. So her mission is no longer just vengeance. It's a rescue operation that requires destabilizing reality itself to breach the abyss during those 7 seconds.
Which brings us to the final provocative thought for you to consider. Thais has become the ultimate contradiction, right? A vengeful killer who now rules the domain of order. She is positioned to wage war not just against a god, but against the very fabric of the cosmos to get her twin back. So the question is, knowing the ultimate price she's already paid to ascend, what cosmic sacrifices will the new goddess of light make to cross the abyss and wage war against the entity that stole her brother?